From the food we eat, the air we breathe, the land we dwell, to the health of our body and mind and the well-being of all things in the universe. Unlock the science with Chula Radio Plus.
Welcome to Unlock the Science. I'm Lawan Jirasuladet. Today I'm leading you to the issues of a growing religion and the world of food production to serve these religious people especially. This industry has been expanding unexpectedly fast and could also benefit a large number of populations in the world. There were 1.8 billion Muslims in the world as of 2015, or roughly 24% of the global population, according to an estimate by Pew Research Center, which is based in Washington, D.C. However, Islam is the fastest growing major religion. It's expected that if the current demographic trends continue, the number of Muslims is to exceed the number of Christians by the end of this century. This is because the population of Muslims is expected to grow more than twice as fast as the overall world population during this period. In the next 40 years, Muslims could account for nearly 3 billion of world population, or almost 1 in 3 of people on Earth. Their high growth is mainly due to their high birth rate compared to the other major religions. That would make them the largest religion in the world, replacing Christianity, according to the same estimate by Pew Research Center. With such a growth of Muslim population, the demand of food particularly consumed by Muslims, or halal food, will be undoubtedly rising as well. For Thailand alone, the export of halal food jumped almost 41 times in the 10 years from only $147 million in 2003 to over $6 billion in 2013, according to the country's top planning agency. Halal in Arabic means permissible or allowed, according to the London-based Halal Food Authority. To be eligible for being certified or accredited as halal, food, particular meat, has to be processed in prescribed way. For instance, the animal has to be slaughtered without any suffering, and it should be carried out by a Muslim. In Thailand, Chulalongkorn University houses a key institute that contributes to the production of halal food and other halal products. I've talked to Associate Professor Dr. Winai Dahlan, founding director of Halal Science Center, to learn about the role of this institute in the halal industry. Dr. Winai, could you tell us briefly how the Halal Science Center came into its existence?
Yes, I started my work in Faculty of Allied Health Science, Chulalongkorn University, and I started with a small laboratory called Halal Science Laboratory. At that time in 1994, and we accumulated some work for many years until the year of 2003. The government finally decided to have the Halal Science Laboratory work closely with the Islamic Organization for Halal Accreditation. And then there was a cabinet resolution on 13 of August in 2003 for the establishment of the Halal Science Center at Chulalongkorn University.
You mentioned accreditation or certification of halal food. As I understand, the agency that provides certification of being halal is the Central Islamic Council of Thailand, which is based in Bangkok, or Islamic councils in the provincial level. So, what is the role of the Halal Science Center in the halal industry?
Yeah, in Thailand is something different from other countries. For the halal accreditation, in other countries, Actually, they are performed by Islamic organization. For example, the Islamic organization under the government, or Islamic organization as a private sector, something like a masjid or association, something else. But in Thailand, we have the act, so-called the Islamic Organization Administration Act 1997. This act finally designed the authorization for the halal accreditation to the Islamic organization like Central Islamic Council of Thailand. Then under Central Islamic Council of Thailand, there are altogether 40 provincial Islamic committees. Then it together come from the same act of Thailand. And then it means that the Islamic organization, their duty is about the inspection and provide accreditation for the halal product that would like to have the figure for export or something. Actually, they send us food sample. If they finally feel that this is some doubt about the contamination of food exclusively haram, then they send to us. And then we have to use our laboratory equipment together with the methodology to investigate the presence of the haram in the product.
Can you give me some examples, like how many samples they send for, like maybe per week or per month?
Oh, not much. But I will give you, for example, since the year 2004 until now, we already analyzed more than 170,000 food samples.
This means your Halal Science Center provides the service of examining whether food or other products are contaminated by substance or things that make it not being halal or haram. Does your center also provide training and other services for people who plan to set up a halal production line and help them set up such a system?
We have both. For example, for foreign scientists, many countries send their scientists to have a training with us in Chulalongkorn University. And at that time, we have the kindness of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Then they grant us some scholarship to provide to the foreign scientists to have a training here at Chulalongkorn University. They're so happy. Until now, we have already trained, I think, more than 100 foreign scientists here at Chulalongkorn University. That's one thing. Another, we also set up the system for the factory. We call the system that halalization. You may know about the standardization. Standard is just a paper. But how to implement the regulation in the standard into practice in factory, this is we call standardization. But for halal, we call it halalization. Or maybe we call it halal standardization. It's how to, in practice, implement the standard to practice in the factory. And then we have to train worker in the factory together with the administration team. In the factory, even a scientist or an administrator in the factory, then finally they can understand well about the halal standard and can implement properly.
How about your research and development of substances that could replace non-halal elements in various products?
That's the main purpose of the Halal Science Center. we really have many scientists working on the development of the new product. For example, the haram replacement product. If finally we found something haram or not allowed for using in the halal food industry, it doesn't mean that it's not allowed only. We have to find the replacement. Then this is a choice for the industry to use. For example, some gelatin, generally gelatin in the food industry are not halal. They produce from pig fat, right? And then we have to find some halal source. For example, we finally developed the gelatin from the plant, or even from the other kind of animal, like a fish. Good thing is about the cow gelatin.
Halal food is regarded as clean food. Could you explain to us what does it mean clean in halal food industry?
Halal, the meaning of halal is allow, permit. It means that the Muslim can consume without sin. But all the time when halal mentioned in Al-Quran, in the book, it's not mentioned alone. Halal all the time have other word, tayyib. Tayyib, it means clean. Then according to the Islamic regulation, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to use only halal and clean food.
We will take a short break now.
You are listening to Unlock the Science on Chula Radio Plus.
As the Muslim population has been expanding fast, there has been invention to produce food, particular meat, to serve this growing religious people. This industry has been known as the industry of alternative meat. According to a report of UK-based Barclays Investment Bank, published in May 2019, the market of alternative meat will grow from the current $14 billion or 1% of the global meat industry, to $140 billion or 10% of the global meat industry in fewer than 10 years from now. Alternative meat includes protein produced from plants such as soybean, tofu, mushrooms, lentil, and various kinds of fruits, and meat cultivated in laboratories. Cultivated meat is meat created from animal cells in laboratories. Dr. Winai, who is a medical nutritional biochemist by academic training, will tell us more about this industry of alternative meat. Dr. Winai, as they say alternative meat is clean meat, then would alternative meat simply be regarded as halal?
In Islam, allow or not allow, or halal or not halal, is defined in Al-Quran. Yeah, it means that if we said halal, it means that is no presence of haram. Yeah, and if the plant is not automatically that the plant is all halal. If the plant is contain some kind of poison, then it's not halal. Until all poison is removed, this is then is halal. For the alternative meat, for example, if the alternative meat is contain some haram, then it's not halal. Then it's not automatically halal. For example, if finally we have to use some kind of plant to produce meat, right? Something like a soybean, this is halal. But it doesn't mean that the process for the production is halal. Because in order to produce meat, it still have some ingredient add inside. We have to find whether the added ingredient is halal.
Do you see any concerns in alternative meat? People may see meat cultivated in laboratory as being unnatural. It may not be as nutritious and tasty as natural meat.
When we said alternative meat, it means that some kind of meat that we have to replace for the natural meat. For example, like a vegetarian, right? If they would like to have meat, but finally they cannot eat meat directly, they have to find some vegetarian kind of product. Then for the alternative meat, that kind of alternative meat that I explained that is not automatically halal. But for the cultivated meat, it's different. Cultivated meat actually is mean that the meat that finally is produced from the animal DNA. For example, something like a stem cell, they obtain from the animal source, right? And then they produce in the laboratory for the increase of the tissue. But in vitro, in the test tube, right? And if it's halal or not halal, it depends on the source of the stem cell. For example, if the stem cell come from the haram source, for example, come from pig, come from carnivorous animal, because halal it doesn't mean that anything except pork or except pig. No, there's still many kind of the animal. There are altogether 12 classes of the haram. Then we have to be sure that the source of the animal is not from haram. Then if it's not from haram, the cultivated meat is possibly halal.
Production of cultivated meat is currently much more expensive than natural meat, which is a key reason of its limited availability at the moment. But I guess it could become less pricey in the future with the development of technology. Do you see the possibility of seeing cultivated meat in any common meat stores in the near future?
I think this is the product for the future. For the animal farming, they produce a lot of the gas, methane, carbon dioxide, something. This is one of the source of the global warming for the animal farming, right? And they try to decrease. And this is the way. Now very expensive, but not in the future. In the future, much more less expensive, less expensive. I think, for example, it's something like a hydroponic vegetable, right? At the beginning, very expensive, but now very, very cheap and very easy to find, right? Before that we scare to eat about the hydroponic. We don't know whether it's organic or non-organic, right? Because they are produced from some chemicals, right? But now we accept the cultivated meat is the same. It's the same. At the beginning, I think the consumer feel uncomfortable to consume, right? But not in the future. I think in the future, finally, they have a very good attitude on the cultivated meat.
Finally, do you see the role of Halal Science Center in the production of cultivated meat in the future?
I think in several aspects. The first, maybe the role of the producer. For example, we plan to develop the technique for the production of the cultivated meat, exclusively halal cultivated meat. This is our research, right? Another thing is about the system that we have to use. We have to consider also the halal system. It's not only the product, also the procedure. And this is the way. And for the, I think something very important for Thailand that we lack so much is about the technology and the acceptance of the consumer. I think Thailand very keen in food industry and as well as the agriculture. But for the innovation, sometimes we dare not to initiate the innovation. And sometimes the other people said Thailand something like a OEM country. We produce from the order, or even we copy from the technology of other country. And in the future, I think Thailand, especially for the scientists, we have to brave enough to introduce our innovation, especially for the agriculture. I think we accustomed to follow the technology of others too much. In the future, we have to lead. I hope that if we lead, if we dare to lead, then I think we're going to be the leader of the industry, especially for the agro industry, not for this region, or also worldwide.
The industry of halal food does not concern only Muslims. Non-Muslim people may also prefer halal food as well, as it is seen as being clean food. The Halal Science Center at Chulalongkorn University will certainly have an expanding role to play in this industry. I would like to thank Dr. Winai Dahlan, Founding Director of Halal Science Center, for being with us. I hope you enjoy our program. You can listen to Unlock the Science on Chula Radio Plus at FM 101.5 every Saturday from 1 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. You can also listen and follow us on our website, curadio.chula.ac.th, and our Facebook page. Our program is also available as podcasts. See you again next Saturday. Have a nice day.
Unlock the Science is edited and produced by Sinfa Tunsarawut with Lawan Jirasuradet as the program host and co-producer.